Oh, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Great to chat. I'm a huge fan of yours. Actually, I think I talked to you with you and Paul several years ago for crash tests. So it's
Oh,
nice
that's so
to,
funny. That's
yeah, so
hilarious.
funny. But yeah, I loved the Night Court episode you and Paul are in. And well, were you a fan of Night Court growing up?
Yeah, I was it's so funny because I totally grew up on that show and that was just like right on in my wheelhouse, like comedically somehow. I just thought like that show like really connected with me and um I just always thought John Larroquette was such just the funniest dude. And so to be able to see him and work with him now, like this many years later, and he's still doing it and killing it. Like he's so funny and so great and sharp. So that was just a total blast, especially, being a fan of the show growing up.
Yeah, what was it like being on set? I've heard that it's like the blueprints are almost like the exact as the original.
It's weird. It's crazy. And because it's almost like walking through a time machine or something. Like you walk onto that set and it would be like it's just such a weird head trip to look around and be like, oh my god, this looks exactly the same way that I remember it. So that was really funny. Like part of when we weren't shooting, I'm like taking pictures of the set the whole time because I just thought that was so fun. But yeah, it's really wild. It's wild to look around and see a lot of the same places in the courtroom and stuff like that. But I just love that world. I love that universe. It's such a great setup to just have um, an endless parade of weirdos and troublemakers coming in to the court. And so Paul and I kind of got to jump in there and join in on all that fun. So that was just a real blast. And yeah, John Larroquette is I've known Melissa for a long time when I was in New York doing comedy and stuff. And but I didn't know John Larroquette at all, and just one of those guys that I've always looked up to. So that was really a thrill to meet him and be able to goof around with him a little bit.
Yeah, and the cast seems to have such a great chemistry. I mean, it's still a fairly young show. What was it like kind of coming in and disrupting that, I guess, and but also being welcomed into it?
Well, it's super fun. Like, at this point, I know various writers on different shows, and so I happen to know like a few of the writers on this show, but I didn't know they were on this show. Like, I got there and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like there. So it's really fun, and you just feel totally safe, doing because you already know like, oh, they have like the best writers that are just cranking out like the funniest stuff, and Paul and I have sort of come from the improv world, and we talked to you about that show Crash Test, where we're
Yeah.
kind of just making stuff up and hoping that we can come up with something funny. So this is like a luxury to walk onto a set, and it's like you've already got a funny script written by the best writers, and then they've got this great cast, and it's just a really well-oiled machine. And so we get to go on and do what they wrote, and then maybe improvise and throw out some stuff of our own and try to get some extra laughs that way. So yeah, I was like a kid in a candy store, it's a blast.
And Pellino and Carnes are a lot of fun as a dynamic duo. And I was thinking about how, like, in recent years, you let your hair go silver, and I was wondering, does being a silver fox help with being like a smarmy lawyer like Pellino?
That's so funny. Yeah, during the pandemic, I just decided like I don't think we're gonna survive this anyway. So why am I coloring my hair? But so yeah, I've just kind of let it happen. I didn't know that I was this silver when I first got it cut. It was during the pandemic and whatever. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh gosh, this is really, really silver. But sure, I think it kind of helps, you know, with certain characters and stuff. I'll probably end up playing a lot of sleazy lawyers or FBI agents, coaches, principals, guidance counselors, various, authority figures with some sort of weird slant to them. But I'm down for anything, whatever works.
So this interview will drop after the episode, but were you surprised that Paul Scheer steals your girl in the
I
episode?
couldn't believe it. They sent us the script before, and I really had second thoughts. I thought, maybe when we get on set, I could twist some arms and, like, let's be realistic. I mean, he's not going to steal this girl from me. No, I mean, it's so fun to work with Paul, and um we love sort of like pulling the rug out from each other. So I think like that's a really great twist for the show. You kind of don't exactly see that coming, and um but the show is just like such a fun ride to jump into and to be a part of that. And like you said, they have such a good, funny cast that it's like a well-oiled machine. And it's funny because it feels like oddly familiar and like sort of comforting, but still like new, fresh jokes, but in a world that you're already familiar with.
Yeah, the jokes are really funny too. I'm like, this is a really sharp script, sharp comedy. Because there's sometimes you watch sitcoms that you're like, oh, but this is like really, really sharp.
Yeah.
And I also love, I think that it has such a timeless appeal yeah, I was thinking about like the random social media stories that go viral about court cases. Um, do you think that Night Court kind of fits in well with modern times?
I was thinking about that. It's funny because I live, I don't know where you are, but here in California, like, you drive down the highway and there are so many of these billboards for these guys, for these sleazy
Yeah.
lawyers. And there's just tons and tons of them. And they all sort of like brand themselves with weird little gimmicky things, like there's one woman out here that has this German Shepherd like next to her in a suit also. So I don't know what that means. Like, is it that your law firm is as aggressive as a German Shepherd? Like, I don't know what you're trying to tell us, but I the, and if you go on YouTube, also there's Paul and I become obsessed with this sort of stuff. Like we send each other these videos all the time because you can find all these commercials of these law firms that do this, and their commercials are crazy. There's a guy in Texas called the Hammer, and again, excuse me, why are you called the Hammer? Like, are you smashing the bad guys for me? Like, I don't know what you're doing. You're defending me with a hammer? Like, I don't know what that is, but their commercials on YouTube are always funny and crazy. So to me, it feels like this updated version of Night Court feels like right on right in stride with all of these weird and crazy law firms, and I like all of the crazy cases that I'm sure they see.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fun. So will we see Polino and Carnes again? I know that Paul told me he wants a spinoff, so I wanted to know what you thought.
I would totally, if they do a spinoff show, I would be so excited, but I'll have to have some sort of clause that Paul can't steal the girl like all the time. Like, we're gonna eventually I'll have to have some sort of love interest that he doesn't steal from me.
Yeah.
No, that would be totally fun. Like I do love this world, and like I love these characters, and I think the potential, just like Night Court does, of just having this constant parade of weirdos and misfits is just like such a good recipe for comedy.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for your time and great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Megan.
Yeah,
Good to see you. I'll see you later.
see ya. Bye.
Bye.